Right now, we're looking at a guy who just married an e-girl, a girl, Brett Cooper, that is basically hiding him from the world, like Drake did with his son Adonis. Okay, so think about 2018. He knocked a chick up, didn't want to get embarrassed, so he hid the identity of his son, but then is claiming, "I still love my kid, but I'm also hiding it." And so that's what she's doing with him, right? Brett Cooper's like, "I love my fiance, but I'm not going to show you who it is." But why is that? Is it because she's trying to protect her simp audience? But if she is doing that, then how come she's saying she's engaged? She could have just hit it. Or is it that she wants to protect her husband from the simps attacking him? Which is ridiculous because, first of all, if you're attacking somebody's husband because of Brett Cooper, who's like a 6 out of 10, then you guys are ridiculous human beings. But even better than that, we have to also add in the fact that, of course, we're dealing with somebody here who is protecting her husband, if that's the case, which is beta as hell. Anyways, if you look at more of these pictures, you'll notice right off the bat that, again, she's smirking and she's happy. But is he completely happy? If I wanted to marry a girl that's famous, I would want the clout too. But apparently, he either doesn't have the leverage in the relationship for her audience, or he's just scared. In which case, you're a loser. Also, how can a girl get wet knowing that she's famous, she's performing for millions of people, and the guy is what? Like an accountant? He's like some law firm owner? Like, what is he exactly that'll get her titillated, is what we say nowadays. I do. And so now you can really see what the dynamic is, and it's a very disturbed one at that. We, of course, have some more pictures to look at here. Of course, we've got this sort of thing going on, just kind of, again, cute pictures. But the problem is that, of course, you've got a subculture of people that would say, like, oh, this is so cool. But then at the same time, where is the groom? Where is the fiance? Like, where is the guy? How are we supposed to envision a girl? And also, by the way, she's trying to be a role model for girls, obviously, like keeping the image clean and whatever. But, when a girl sees a girl getting engaged, do you want to see the fiance? Probably. Like, oh, that's a good looking guy. But no, she doesn't show him. Interesting. Is this like Ben Shapiro's nephew that we don't know about? Is that it? To consummate the inbreeding so that so you have a whole family of Shapiros? I don't know. If you guys look beneath me, you'll notice that she was going to be Snow White, and she will be for the Daily Wire. And so that's kind of a big deal, right? So like if my wife or fiance were going to be Snow White, I'd be right there on the red carpet, but in this case, it'd be the kosher blue carpet. I don't know. The point is that you've got somebody here who is evidently, having her own fame go up, and you would want to be supportive. You want to be front and center for your wife or whatever. But instead, he's felt it. He's cucked. He's basically like in the shadow realm, either because he's a pussy or because she doesn't want to give him clout, which is pathetic. And here's another piece of evidence of that. Here, if you pay really close attention, you'll notice that she's posting stories about other people or other men or tweets that have nothing to do with her fiance, which is an important lesson in everybody's life. So this piece of game is really relevant to people nowadays because the lesson has to do with the fact that ideally, if you're a guy, you have to have the girl go into your frame, into your world. And so if you cannot provide for that, then you're under leveraged fundamentally. And so what'll happen is that there's going to be an irritation. Either the girl's going to resent the fact that you're not as famous as she is, or something like that, right? Because you could operate in a frame where, as a guy with nothing but potential, you could still, like, the forecast in and of itself might get the girl wet. But the problem is that you have to live up to it at some point. And so this guy, as far as I know, for all I know, could be an accountant, could, be making what, like 6 figures. He could be working with the Daily Wire. But is he special? Does he have millions of people watching? Does he have all these connections? Probably not. It's instead Brett Cooper. So Brett has him in her world where it's her engagement, and she posts it to her male fans, and she censors his face out basically and leaves them as some sort of like blot on her history later on if they do ever separate. So he's not in the forefront is what I'm saying. And that's pathetic because if you think about it, she's had Ben Shapiro's likeness on her face for starters, but more so just had other guys present around her. But this guy who she's supposed to love apparently is not shown, either because, again, he's a pussy that doesn't want to get doxxed, even though he's marrying Brett Cooper, or he's some sort of guy that is not allowed the privilege of being her arm husband because he's a loser or something. But also keep in mind, so if he's like some sort of guy who has no money, no clout, then why would Brett be with him? Only reason would be if he's like Brad Pitt. But I mean, just looking at him, aside from the face, which cannot be that good looking, right? Because you see him from the side and he's like an average looking guy. Okay, well, like, is he super tall? He looks like what? He's like 5'8". I mean, so generally speaking, it's not that. So what is it that he's got going on? Because again, a girl that is well raised, which Brett is, I'll give her credit, right? She's kind of modest. She was raised right. Okay, she comes from wealth. Okay, cool. Or at least like upper middle class. Okay, well, why would she get with the guy who simply might work at the Daily Wire as an engineer or as something otherwise unremarkable that is not super good looking. Why would she do that? We don't know. So what is the special connection that makes him relevant to get engaged to? Because Brett is obviously a girl of high relative chastity, to the fame. Obviously, like she probably has less than 5 bodies. So if she's kind of young, she's what, like 21? Cute. Okay, so we give her credit for that. All right, so then why does she go for a guy that's pretty basic looking? So does he have a lot of money and we don't know it? Is that why? Maybe the guy's in a liberal industry and he doesn't want to get canceled or something? Or because if that's the case, then it would have been exposed at this point. It would be pretty obvious. But so it's not even that. So then what is it exactly? I've yet to find that out. Okay, after spending like 40 seconds Googling, according to the article by Distractify, it says that Brett Cooper had just moved into a new city and was suddenly a very public figure, and she was terrified of dating while also being a public person. And she added that her mystery man has no interest in being in the spotlight, and that she wants her fans to leave him alone. And that basically she said that she was incredibly lucky to be with him, and that she literally pinches herself every day, feeling like the luckiest person in the world. She also says that the two of them grew up a few miles away from each other, and that she used to hang out with his sister. So what that means is that he just be first of the bitch, which is actually really fascinating. So basically, she moves to LA or wherever, where she has all this e-fame, and she can't trust anybody because that's weird, obviously, if you're an e-girl to date guys with no clout, which is to suggest, obviously, that if that's the case, then she's going to go with somebody that knew her before she was famous, in which case, I guess the older brother of like a girl that she was friends with in Nashville, Tennessee or whatever, where she grew up, or however you want to quantify that. So basically, he just got lucky, bottom line. Okay, but he doesn't want the fame. Why? What are you, a bitch? Like, what is your day job? So basically, she got with a guy that she knew since childhood. So it's like a very, very like, it's basically the equivalent of like a high school sweetheart sort of thing. Okay, so she got lucky. He got lucky. And he's what? So exactly, that's my point. So nowadays, we can really just say that he got lucky, but he's not exploiting the clout, which I would totally exploit the clout. And so I think this guy's a beta, because what else is he going to do? What is he going to do? Work in an office? No, thank you. If you look here real quick, the Daily Wire's making a live action Snow White starring Brett Cooper. So think about it. So you're with a girl. She's going to be the Snow White dollar store version, but okay, I mean, that's still kind of big. And you're what? You're just a guy that's fucking her? Not even. She's conservative. Okay, so you're not even getting a nut. That's kind of sad. So I don't envy the position of the guy that's with her because it's kind of an under-leveraged sort of loser position. But I mean, if you even look here, I mean, she doesn't really say anything about her personal life, which is kind of gay. Because again, you're supposed to be a role model for these girls, but you're not telling them about your relationship. What's up with that? So that's kind of boring. And so, yeah, that's basically it. Here's another lesson. When a guy says like, oh, wow, look at the guy who's with Brett Cooper. He's like some schlub and she got with him. She only did that because, number one, she's young. Number two, because he was like the only guy that she was interested in before she was famous. And so he just lucked his way into that. Most people don't have that sort of circumstance. So basically, any sort of person that says like, oh, this proves that you don't need, like, no, of course, you generally need to have a girl in your frame. She has to come into your world, not you come into theirs. So that's usually how it works. Otherwise, you have to like enamor her some other way. Like you have to be the Kevin Federline to her Britney Spears. But as we all know, that bitch was crazy. And so like, it's not going to work out long term. So anyways, see y'all in the next video. Adios.